The fourth principle of early intervention program proposes family social and environmental support for the families. What does that mean? As a person working with a family to try to establish communication and early language access for their deaf child, your job, whether you are trained or not trained, your job is not a sole responsibility. You are not a lone ranger. Your job links up other groups, other people, other practitioners that may not necessarily be working with you, but that you are aware of and that you know their jobs that you can link up to. This could be offices, this could be addresses, this could be online links or something. In as much as you go to the family to direct advice or something, you are also supposed to be in a position to link the family up to other resources. And remember, from our own experience, families that are not deaf, hearing families usually have very big issue dealing with having a deaf child. Even if it's the only child or a child amongst others, it is a very, very delicate thing for families to deal with in the first place. And that is why most of the times they go from denial to, looking for solution where there is none, and sometimes rejecting and then finally accepting. Sometimes, it takes years to happen. Sometimes some families realize this early enough and, they're able to cope with that child and their condition. So they need emotional support. They need social support. In some countries or communities where we think are more developed, some of emotional and social support are somehow ready. People work in that direction. But in indigenous communities where there is want of this, so it is your work to try to link up this family to where they can get emotional and social support. The last principle that I'm going to be discussing today, which is a fifth one, but not the last of this study, says the early intervention program should incorporate family infant interaction. So if you are a person who is trying to help a family establish a good communication with their deaf child, you should try and use everyday routine, play, and typical interaction to promote the child's communicative development. So this is as the child develops, as the child grows, you should enable the family to establish, a cordial play relationship with them. You also being involved. I know that the people that are very much at home with this, the people that work with children with neurodevelopmental disabilities, say for instance, autism and cerebral palsy and all those. So SLPs, speech language pathologists or speech therapists, see themselves in this environment. Occupational therapists and the rest of the team that usually work with children with these other types of disabilities. They know the importance of interaction, the importance of play. The speech therapists are very much at home with this knowledge. Now, but since I am proposing a non-formal early intervention program provider or practitioner for deaf children in indigenous communities where there is none, people who work in this area should be aware of their responsibility in trying to establish that interactive moment with the child. Now, I think in the next discussion, I'm going to be discussing the language development in a deaf child, and I might expatiate on this a little bit. But you know that the way language develops in hearing children is the same way language develops in deaf children. When I mean the way, I talk about those linguistic milestones that the child kind of is expected to meet at any particular stage. So when the child is supposed to kuyu, when the child is supposed to babble, when the child is supposed to um, add one word expression, also in signing, a deaf child begins with babbling. A deaf child begins with adding one word expression, forming her own grammatical style, even though they are imitating from the environment whereby the parents are deaf. A deaf child makes mistakes just like a hearing child makes mistakes in expressions. So at this level, I know that part of the challenges we have in trying to understand this is that when we do not know that gestures are, playing a whole lot of work, a whole lot of role at this stage. So this fifth principle helps us to understand that if you are working with such a family, that you should emphasize on using play, using interaction, both between you and the family and the children and the baby that is growing up trying to acquire sign language. All right. So today, why are we talking about this topic? Just like I have said in the first and second discussion, it is important, very, very important. We cannot overemphasize it. That when a deaf child is born, when a child is diagnosed of deafness or hearing loss, that child is supposed to be exposed to sign language as early as it is possible. Remember, the first principle here says early intervention program should be early and timely, and it begins as soon as a child is diagnosed with hearing loss. There are no two ways about it. So, today I want to pause on this discussion on the topic of early language development among deaf children. We might come across this topic again in the nearest future, but I'm going to be dealing with a different topic in the next week. And I want to appreciate you for spending time today watching this video. And I also want to encourage you that you should go ahead and share this video to the many people that it will benefit. If you have not hit the subscribe button for us, go ahead and hit it and like our videos. Thank you for following our works, listening to us, supporting us in any way you are doing, even though we don't know, we may not know all of you that are fans of our work, but we appreciate you out there. We give you a shout out and say thank you for being there. You make us to be here, and you give us the motivation that we have doing this. This is the Indigenous Hands, the Indigenous Voices, brought to you by Save the Deaf and Endangered Language Initiative, where we discuss sign languages in the indigenous deaf communities. I would be very glad to see you again next week. Until then, I pray you to be safe and be blessed. Bye.